The second thing that I want to propose today as being important in terms of communicating values is to find our frames. I mentioned before that how good the right is in the United States about framing things according to their own values. Frames are mental models that exist in our head. All of our brains have millions of frames. But 95+% of those frames, or the things in our brain, exist at the level of the subconscious. So something has to trigger whatever's in our brain to bring it to the level of consciousness. If I say elephant, now you're all thinking of an elephant. You might not be thinking of the same elephant, but you're thinking of an elephant because I triggered it by saying elephant. So the word triggers the image, which is the frame, and then you have a whole set of associations. You might be thinking about Dumbo. You might be thinking about a pink elephant. You might be thinking about a Republican. You might be thinking about a safari. You might be thinking about all these things, but what you're thinking of is likely shaped by the context within which those associations with that frame were forged. And so we talk about framing in our class, and we talk about the way that frames come with associations that communicators can use to create meaning and to shape policy and to do politics. And I talk about George Lakoff's work, how to, I was going to say how to think like an elephant. Don't think of an elephant. Don't think like an elephant either. I don't know, maybe we could think of an elephant, I don't know. Drew Weston's work, where he argues, he's a social psychologist at Emory, he talks about the political brain as an emotional brain. And so many of these frames have associations that are deeply emotional for us. They trigger all sorts of prejudices and predilections, of biases and associations. And so to understand that the political brain is an emotional brain is something that communicators have to do, whether you're in politics or you're in protest cultures. And I talk with them about Steve Jarding's aspirational words that he talks about in his class on how to become a politician, how to run a campaign. He talks about the really effective aspirational words that we can use to frame the things that we talk about: imagine, compassion, courage, dedication, determination, goodness, honesty, inspire, believe, happiness, love, opportunity, hope, values, trust, pride. Y'all feeling good now, right? Those are aspirational words. They tap into the world we want to move to, the new things that we can think of and the things that we might come together through inspiration to create together. There are examples on the progressive side of frames that have deep values, that articulate deep values. They are dream defenders, reproductive freedom, marriage equality, Black Lives Matter, we are the 99%, Moral Mondays, human rights. Franklin Roosevelt talked about 4 freedoms: the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, freedom from want, and the freedom from fear. He too was framing, different kind of framing, although associated with the framing of the First Amendment, the Bill of Rights, drawing from that long tradition of freedoms to talk about positive freedom and negative freedom and those conceptions of freedoms. His quartet rather than a quintet, right? He got it down to 4 instead of 5, right? But then his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, and so many of the activists who led to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights took that conception of 4 freedoms, took some of the documents that I've been talking about, took some of the insights that were gleaned and the achievements that were won by the movements that were part of that protest tradition to create a new document for a new age of human rights, to beckon a new set of aspirations for a new world based on claims about rights and equality and freedom and dignity. And so we can do this too. We've done it, and we need to do it again.